President. Today I'm asking to, you can already see the name. Let's get close up. Yeah. Another My Story animated. My 7-year-old sister. And all. Alright, let's see this. Alright, let's get this started, guys.
Wild Ride, college student, and was currently enrolled in the hardest calculus class in the school. My professor sent us home with a math problem that no one had been able to solve before. Einstein himself couldn't solve it, so naturally I wanted to be the one to crack it.
Oh, I'm sure about that.
Trying to get it done. I started crying in frustration when my adoptive sister ran up and took the paper. I was about to yell at her for scribbling on it when I noticed she had solved it in a matter of seconds.
What?
No way. This has to be a mistake. You see, my family adopted my 7-year-old sister from another country a year ago. So I had given up teaching her.
Is that so?
They thought she couldn't learn, but I could sense that she was holding back. For the last few months, I had been teaching her to write in English. Mute, who can't talk, I thought it would be good for us to learn how to communicate with each other that way.
You mean sign language?
Struggling to write down words like apple and cat, suddenly solving complex math equations. When I asked her how, she just shocked me again. Pushed her finger up to her lips to tell me to keep it a secret.
Ugh.
Anyone want to hide being so smart? And by the way, do you want to be smarter? Subscribe to the channel to hear all our daily crazy stories.
I already got that smartness, so no.
Credit for doing the math problem, but I did want to know if she was actually right. I gave her to my professor and just asked if he could take a look at it. He was so excited.
Alright, I'll be right back.
When
I'm back.
he solved it, I panicked and said it was me. Beaming, he kept telling me how proud he was and how smart I was. What's worse is he called my parents to let him know that no one in their 30-year career had ever solved it before. I to tell them about my sister, but they were glowing. How could I just disappoint them? So guilty and confused. I wish I never brought that stupid problem home. Every time they bought me a new gift or praised me, I looked towards her. She was always shaking her head, begging me not to tell. In retrospect, maybe I should have said something, but I stayed quiet for her. I couldn't take it anymore. How did a 7-year-old know math so well but couldn't even spell out the alphabet? At her explaining, she made me feel horrible. She made me a fraud. I demanded to know where she learned so much math, and I was not about
Dang, you're gonna shake your sister like that?
Me with a bit of understanding and started to scribble out a paycheck in front of her. From what I could make out, there were 3 words: woman, secret. What's this even supposed to mean? I shouted.
Same.
You need to explain yourself. She sighed for a moment and flipped the paper over. This time she wrote a lot more than 3 words. In fact, she wrote an entire paragraph. Unfortunately, it was all in a strange language.
Probably Spanish or English.
Frustrated. This didn't solve anything. She then did something more shocking than
Why
solving
did
a
the
math
light turn
problem.
on?
My mute sister pulled me close and said something. In my ear. Tell. Not to tell a soul, but she needed to promise never to touch my work again. She sadly nodded her head. I thought this would be the end of it, but unfortunately the damage was already done. My professor told everyone about the paper. He constantly pointed out how smart I was in class, and when I tried to deny it, he just told me I was being modest. I went from the shy girl no one noticed to that mysterious woman everyone was talking about.
I wanted to say he was mysterious, but whatever.
Help on assignments or asked how I did on my work. When they didn't want to tell or said I couldn't help, people simply thought I was being arrogant. No one likes others that don't help. In fact, did you know that some bats will start to ignore other bats that don't share? Well, I accidentally became a lonely bat, all because people thought I was hiding something when I wasn't. It as an appreciation turned into hatred. I went from the smart girl everyone wanted to be to public enemy number 1. People tripped me in the halls and found different ways to mock me. One time when my
You don't help me? What a shame! You stupid people! You can't help me?
Well, do it yourself. I didn't ask for this.
no choice but to run to the front of the room and attempt to solve the equation. The problem was, I didn't know it. It was pretty obvious to both the professor and the rest of the students that I had no idea what I was doing. I wrote the wrong thing on the board, everyone started laughing. The professor looked so disappointed. This one really popular girl who had been jealous of all the attention I received threw her sandwich at me. Soon everyone followed suit and started throwing
Oh!
I ran out before the professor could stop them. I was so sad and embarrassed.
Well, I would too, because people literally accrue at school. I've been there. Sucks.
I cried to myself. We're jerks. I looked up and saw one of the foreign exchange students. He was incredibly popular and super hot. I was
Why is every story they always
I
say
never
this?
thought he would
This is
speak
just
to me,
dumb.
let alone defend me. They're just jealous you solved that equation. They'll lie up any longer. Actually, I didn't do it, I admitted. Pretty surprised. That is not exactly something you can Google. I tried, he said. How did you manage to find it? I dug into my bag and pulled out the note my sister gave me. I figured he spoke a few languages and studied linguistics. Maybe he could help me out here. He stared at it for a moment and shoved the paper back into my hands. Before I could say anything, he covered my mouth. We should meet in private, he said. What does the paper say? I asked. It says nothing, but you should really come to my dorm room tonight. 7 o'clock sharp, he said again. Okay, I stuttered, my face turning bright red. It's a date, he said. Then he winked at me and darted in the other direction. It was confusing, but I was not about to question it. I wasn't used to getting asked on dates or high heels. The boy, on the other hand, well, he just looked stressed out. It was obvious he had to run back to his dorm and hadn't left his computer since our conversation earlier that day. He barely looked up at me when I walked in. I didn't know what to say.
Isn't on my the music? This is my brother turning on music for some reason. Don't know why.
I tell him who wrote that paper. I told him my little sister drew it. His computer around very quickly. My heart stopped when I saw what was on the screen. Little sister, but she was wearing a business suit and had her hair done up very maturely. This was much different from her princess footsie pajamas I was used to seeing. He asked if I recognized the woman in the photo. I questioned. That's my little sister. My parents just adopted her last year. Hans? Your adoptive sister, but she is not little.
What? She's a midget?
And he translated. It was in his native tongue, and he just wanted to make sure we were in a more private place before he disclosed what the letter was about. The content of the letter was something I wasn't prepared to hear. It said that my little sister was on the run from the police. She was a big scientist in her home country, and she was framed for a murder. She told me not to let anyone see the paper, and she would promise never to attract attention to me again. Here I laid out a confession to a total stranger. How dangerous can she be? She's just a little girl who spends her days playing with ponies and dolls. He pulled up a newspaper article about a 38-year-old woman who looked like a child. He explained she had been wanted in his home country for over 10 years, longer than I thought she was alive for. I told him that she had to be framed. She was so sweet. But he wasn't so sure about that and asked if he could meet her in person. He told me that she suffered from a disease called Turner syndrome. It's what gave her a strange appearance and let her pass as someone much younger. She was actually an adult, a very smart adult. Even if she did lie about her age, it's not the same as murder, I argued. I could not believe the sweet and charming girl who had tried to cheer me up by solving my math equation was a monster. I let him meet her, only to prove to him that he was wrong about her. It seems pretty straightforward, right? Well, it was one of the worst decisions of my life. He told me that we needed to keep absolute secrecy. He erased his computer history and had me write down my address on a piece of paper. He told me that if anything happened, I should check under his bed for a red envelope. I thought he was just being dramatic. How often do dates turn deadly? He told me not to answer any strange phone calls I got and to stay on the down low. So that's or so I thought. I went straight home that day, and we decided to meet the next night. He was supposed to my house at 6
if I was her, you know I do.
He was my boyfriend, and he wanted to meet the family.
I just stay around and mind my business.
Suddenly, I got a text from him asking for my address. I thought it was kind of weird since I told him earlier.
I bet ya he's the murderer, because they always have these weird twists.
I ran over. Handsome foreigner in a suit, I got a few men in official uniforms. They walked in and demanded that we hand over my sister. I ran to protect her, but we were too late. They dragged her away. It's called the cops. I called the hot foreign student. How dare he sell my sister out like that? When he didn't answer, I jumped right into my car and I should give him a piece of my mind.
What a freaking legend!
Someone had
Sound
broken
that
into it.
monster
I
away.
searched through his stuff and noticed that
Jeez.
there were some things missing.
Alright,
His
what?
phone and his laptop. I
Oh.
quickly ran to his bed and searched under it.
Oh my
I
gosh.
looked around until my hand touched a piece of paper.
Mm-hmm.
It was a red envelope. I immediately opened
Yeah.
it. In it, he told me that someone must have tracked his computer and gotten information. I should make sure not to answer any messages, even those that came from his phone. If
Oh!
I should try to convince my family to move or go on an extended vacation.
Dang!
I should never tell his or my parents anything.
What?
It would only put more people in danger. I
What?
was sobbing. If I was
What's
only
going
smart
on?
enough to solve that stupid equation, maybe none of this would have ever happened.
Oh
I was
my
feeling
God.
guiltier than ever,
Those
and it
people
only
in the
got
back.
worse as time went on. Later that night, I received a message from a woman saying she was his mother. She explained she got my social media from her son's page. She told me how she hadn't heard from him the whole day. I didn't tell her anything. It's the least I could do. Still, it really hurt her not to have any answers. They opened up a police investigation, and to our horror, there were videos of men dragging him away at around 3 in the morning. The realization
Oh,
made
jeez!
my blood run cold. 3 a.m.? That means he probably wasn't the one who texted me earlier in the day asking for my address. I was responsible for both of their disappearances.
Damn!
Today, we have no idea what happened, or where my sister went, or where my fake boyfriend is. Know any information at all about this? I beg that you put it in the comments below. Time now, and I can't get any sleep, knowing that I single-handedly ruined 2 lives.
Damn! Well, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Jeez.